Okay, in this section we're going to talk about rate of change, or slope. Alright, so number one, the rise is the difference in the y values. The run is the difference in the x values. So the slope of a line is the ratio of y minus y to x minus x. So y minus y over x minus x. That's the ratio we're going to look at. Now, anytime you have a graph, what you need to do is we're going to look at the rise. So you from one point to the next. So I'm going to go up and to the right. All right, and that's what I'm going to do on all these graphs. I'm going to start at one point, like this one. We're going to go start at this point. We're going to go up and to the right, and that was 1 over 3. Over here, I'm going to start at this point, and I'm going to go to the left 1 and down 2. So the rise, which is this part, was -2. The run, I went to the left 1. So you put rise over run, so -2 over -1 is a +2, or +2 over 1. All right, so there's number 6. We went over this in class. We went down 3 and to the right 2. All right, now you're going to be given a line. You have to tell whether or not what kind of slope it has. This one has a 0 slope. This one has a negative slope. And then finally, this one right here, if you remember the story, is an undefined slope. So remember, positive, negative, 0 slope, undefined slope. Now, let me go back to this information here. If you go down to number 10, what it asks you to do is the table shows the truck driver's distance from home during one day's deliveries. Find the rate of change for each time interval. Well, we're going to look at 0 to 1, 1 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 8, and then 8 to 10. So we're going to look at all those intervals, and then we're going to compare the rate of change. All right, so now what I'm going to do is from 0 to 1, it was a 35 mile an hour. So 35 miles an hour for 1 hour. Then 35 to 71 happened to be 36 to 3, which is this right here, which reduces down to 12 miles per hour to 1 hour. Then I'm going to look at 4 to 5, so that's an increase of 1, but from 71 to 82 is an increase of 11, so it's 11 over 1. Then finally, if I look at 5 to 8, notice from 5 to 8 it goes from 82 to 199. Now, I already have that over here, so 82 to 199 is an increase of 117. From 5 to 8 is an increase of 3. So the rise of 117 over a run of 3 reduces down to 39 over 1, and that's what I put in that space right there, right here, 39 over 1. And then finally, the distance is 1. The run is 2, so 1 over 2 happened to be from 8 to 10 hours. The last question says, what was the driver's average speed the least? So during which time interval? And that was between 8 to 10 hours, which had a time interval or a ratio of 1 to 2. On this next section, you're simply looking at rise over run. So I'm going to start at this point. It's a rise of 1, 2, 3, 4, and a run of 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 actually. So it's a run of 5. So the rise is 4, the run of 5, so the slope is 4 over 5. All right, let's look at number 2. Same thing. Now I'm going to start at this point. The rise in this case is going to go all the way down to here. Now notice we're up here at 9. We end up at 3. So that's a drop of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's -6. And now I'm going to go from -2 to +1. So 1, 2, 3. That's a run of 3. So -6 to 3. So if you do rise over run, that reduces down to -2 over 1. Number 3, going real quick, I'm at here at 1, so I'm going to go up to 4, so that's a rise of 3. And then from 0 to 4 is a run of 4. So it's a rise of 3, a run of 4, so 3 over 4. Now, be careful. It depends on where you start at. I could actually start at this other point, and so this would change. So watch. If I go down 3, 1, 2, 3, so that would be down 3, and then to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, I run a -4. So if I put -3 over -4, that turns out to be a positive 3/4 because these turn out to be positive, which is the same as this one. On number 5 and number 6, notice here's your line. The rise, there is no rise, but there's a run of, from -2 to +2, there's a run of 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's a run of 4, there's a rise of 0, 0 to 4, and so when you put a slope of 0 over 4, that is just 0. So if you recall my picture, positive, negative, 0, and then undefined, that's a 0 slope. And then finally, number 6, if we go through the story of right here, anytime you have a vertical line, that's going to be an undefined, because the rise might be, if you look at it, let's look at the rise here. The rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a rise of 6, but a run of 0. Well, if you put 6 over 0, 6 can never be divided by 0, or if you want to say 0 can never go into 6, therefore it's undefined. Finally, on the last few problems, tell whether the slope of each line is positive, negative, 0, or undefined. This one is 0, this one is undefined, and this one is positive, because as you move from left to right, the y values are increasing. And then finally, on number 10, the table shows the amount of water in a pitcher at different times. Graph the data and show the rate of change. Between which 2 hours is the rate of change your greatest? So basically, if we start at 0.60, that's going to start right here, and then 150, notice that it's starting to decrease. So 2 to 25, about right there. 3 to 80, so 3 goes up to 80, which is way up here. 4 down to 65. 5 to 65. 6 to 65, and then finally 7 down to 50. And in this case here, if we were to connect these, notice that the greatest rate of change is going to be this little section right here, and that's going to be between 2 and 3. So between 2 and 3 is the greatest rate of change.